You know, managing your scoliosis isn't just about trying to fix the curve. It's about understanding why your body is changing in the first place and what you can do to slow down, stop, or even potentially reverse that progression. So today I'm going to show you 6 exercises that, if done consistently, can really help the rest of your body support your spine. And I'm not just talking as a scoliosis expert, I'm talking as a person who's approaching 50 and I'm beginning to feel the effects of aging. So I wish I'd done some of these exercises more consistently sooner, but can't wind back the clock, so the best we can do is start them now. So these 6 exercises, if done well, if done right, if done consistently, can have amazing effects and do amazing things for your body. The good news is you don't need any fancy equipment, just a yoga mat and maybe some weights. If you don't have any weights, not a problem. You can just use something from the kitchen, like a bottle of water or something like that. All right, exercise number 1, we're actually going to work on the inside of our legs. These muscles here get so tight from a lifetime of sitting, and they can actually affect the way the pelvis moves, which then can affect the way the spine moves. So over the years, I found the best way of releasing these things off is with a stretch called the frogger. All right, so I'm going to show you from the front here. You put your knees wide apart, put your toes either flat or curled underneath, it doesn't really matter too much. You keep your back straight and you push backwards till you feel a stretch inside your groin here. From here, you can actually just move backwards and forwards, like rocking in and out of it. Or you can squeeze your knees together. So I'm squeezing this one towards this one. Hold that for 10 seconds or so and then relax and go a little bit further. So from the side, it looks like this, right? My knees are apart, my toes are pointing inwards, or they can be like this if that's not available to you. I keep my back straight and I rock backwards till I feel something in my groin. If I need to go wider, then I just take my legs a little bit wider. Now from here, I can just simply do that. For some of you with really tight groin muscles, this would be all you need to do. And for others, then you can pull your knees together, tensing the groin muscles, 10 seconds or so, and then relax and go further into the stretch, and you repeat that 3 to 5 times. All right, so once these hips have released off, it can make a huge difference to the way your pelvis moves. Secondly, we want to talk about ribs. And so the ribs should actually move, these ones here move up and down, and these ones here move out to the side. But the ability to move these out to the side is lost with most people. So I'm going to show you a way to get that ability back. So we're going back into our sort of frogger position. And I want you to take your belly down onto your ribs. So you're going into like a ball. From here, if you breathe in, you'll notice that you get a stretch in your back. This is fantastic for people who have back pain and scoliosis. But also, if you lean a little bit one way or the other, you can open up the short side of your curve as you do this. Okay, so we've been told for years and years that we need to breathe in to our bellies, right? To get the big belly breath. Now that's fine, it's a good way of breathing, but it stops us from using these side ribs and these back ribs. So in this position, I want you to take a deep breath in. Feel maybe the air go into your belly, but also feel it expand into your lower back, and then breathe out. A lot of these muscles are chronically tight. Breathe in. And people with back pain and scoliosis, so this is a fantastic exercise just to literally loosen off the back muscles. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Okay, for some of you, that might feel a bit easy. For others, that will be all you need to do. For those of you who are finding it easy, I want to take you to take this to the next stage here. You're going to sit on the ground or on a chair, it doesn't matter, and you're going to put your hands on the sides of your ribs. From here, you're going to push your ribs inwards. Then as you breathe in, you're going to try and move your hands laterally, not your belly forward, okay? So in a sitting position like this, you'll actually be using a little bit of core tension anyway, so your belly won't move a huge amount. So we'll sit like this, and you're going to push your ribs out to the side. So breathe in, breathe out. You should be able to see my hands moving inwards and then moving outwards. And every time I do this, I always find there's new muscles that get stretched and starts to switch on as I really engage the correct movement of these lower ribs. So amount of repetitions you can do, it's up to you, but I would do 1 to 2 minutes worth of breathing, either in that crouched forward position or in that sitting position, getting those lower lateral ribs moving. Next, we're going to take some of that breathing that we've just learned and put that into what we call a spinal decompression, okay? So gravity is pushing us down all day. Our head is one of the heaviest things in our body, and it's pushed on top of our spine, and it's compressing the back. So how do we decompress? How do we lengthen the back? Well, first thing we're going to do is take the pressure off the back, and we do that by lying down. So I'm going to lie face down, and I'm going to take one hand above my head. Now, if you know what type of curve you have, if you have scoliosis and you know, let's say, you've got an apex on your left-hand side, so a lavoscoliosis, you want to open up the right side, then start with this one. Put your right hand up. And then I want you to finish with this one. If you've got the opposite, if you've got a dextroscoliosis or the apex is on the right-hand side, just start with your left hand, okay? So we're going to put this right hand up here, and I'm going to tent the hand so my fingertips are touching the ground. This, my left hand is going to go all the way back. So I'm reaching forward with one hand and back with the other. This one is still on the ground. It's still tented. Okay, so it's like this, but it's back here. Now, as I keep walking my fingers away from each other, so I'm walking them away from each other, my back's going to open up on one side. Okay, from here, I'm going to lift my head just a little bit. So just off the ground. And now I'm going to take a nice deep breath in using those newfound lateral rib muscles. That breath can be through my nose or it can be through my mouth. It doesn't matter too much. Nose is always a good option though. It humidifies the air before it goes in. Good. So I'm using the breath to add length to this traction that's already happening with my hands. Okay, once I've done 10 on one side, doesn't matter which way my scoliosis is, I still want to do it the other side. Okay, breathe in, lift the head, walk those fingers away from each other, breathe out, breathe in, lateral ribs, breathe out. If you want to take this to the next level, you can also tuck your pelvis a little bit to get some contraction into your lower abs. As you do this, and your toes can actually turn so that the toes are pointing downwards, and you get some tension to the front of your shins and maybe up into your quads. So now I've got tension through my pelvis, quads and legs, length happening in my back, and I'm combining that with the breathing. Once you've done 10 here, you go back to the original side and do another 10 that opens up the apex of your scoliosis. So you do 2 on the side that open your scoliosis and 1 on the side that's just a general back decompression. All right, the next area that's super important connects the hips and the diaphragm as well. It's actually stretching the deep muscles in the front of the hip, namely the psoas. The psoas goes from the femur here up across the front of the pelvis and into the spine. It actually links up a little bit with the diaphragm. And so when we sit for a long time, this front part of the hip starts to tighten up and cramp down, and then we lose the ability to extend the hip behind us like this. And many people with scoliosis cannot take their kneecap behind an imaginary line drawn from their shoulder to the hip to the ground. Okay, so this is not possible for a lot of people, not without extending their lower back, which is not what we want. So I want to show you how to stretch this front part of the hip. Okay, first things first, we don't want the lower back to extend as you go forward. So this can make me look very flexible, but actually it's just my back extending. We don't want that. So you're going to tuck your pelvis, contract your lower abs a little bit, maybe even get that lateral rib breathing going again, and then slide your pelvis forwards in space to feel a stretch at the front here, okay? So breathing in, breathing out. And you can either hold that stretch or you can move inwards and outwards like I do. So some of you may find that you feel this in your groin, and that's just telling you that your groin is actually very tight as well. Some of you might find you feel it on the outside of your hip. That's fine, these muscles on the outside can be tight. But ideally, we want to feel it into the front of the hip here. Now to make this a little bit more advanced, I want you to take your foot and put it outwards slightly so that the femur, this big bone here, turns inwards. Got a little bit of internal rotation now in the front of the hip. That can bring this stretch on a little bit quicker. Then I want you to hold it in this forward position and then move your hips left and right. So now we're holding it forwards and we're adding a whole new dimension to it. Once we've done 10 or 15 of those, Same thing, you're gonna hold it forward, but now rotate your pelvis. And so my pelvis is rotating left and right. Doesn't rotate too much when I've got my foot turned out though. But this is adding rotation to an already stretched hip. Obviously do that on both sides, and you do those forwards and backwards motions, side to side motions, and rotation motions about 10 times each. Okay, with this next exercise, you're actually going to use one of the weights, okay? So I'm going to pick up this weight, it's about 10 pounds, and this is optional. You can start without the weight if you want to. And what we need to do here is be able to have the ability to lunge forward and not have pain in the knee, okay? So if you've got pain in your knee to lunge forward, then this isn't for you. There's other things you can do is by simply lunging backwards. That's a great way to get around the pain in your knee, just lunge backwards. But if you can, I want you to step forwards, and as you step, I want you to swing this weight. And it's sort of a strange thing to do, like, why should we be swinging weights? Well, in life, we tend not to statically lift weights. We sort of move things up and down. If we're lifting a suitcase, we're picking it up and we're putting it above us on an aeroplane or whatever. And it's never really a simple weight type movement. So those are good for building muscles, but this is good for building more functional strength. So I want you to just lunge forward and take that step, and the weight comes above your head at the same time. So it's a lunge, stretch the front of the hip, work the knee at the front, and you've got a full body exercise. We don't want the weight to go too far behind you because that could damage your shoulder slightly. If you go back too far back here, we don't want you doing that. Just take it straight up above your head where gravity seems to hold it, then let it swing down again and time that with your leg. Now, if that knee really is a problem, then the stepping back motion will also work, okay? You're simply going to take this foot and step backwards like this as you do the swing. All right, so it's going to look a bit like this. I'm going to get this thing going because it's quite heavy. There, forwards, there. And you'll notice I'm also taking my other hand back to counterbalance just a little bit. And you can feel this in your quads, into your butt, in your ankle. Lots of muscles in the supporting leg, and lots of muscles in the shoulder and back. Okay, so we're doing 10 to 15 of those, no problems. Select the appropriate weight for you to be able to do that. For me, 10 pounds was enough. You can hear that I'm breathing heavily just after doing that. All right, this brings me to my last exercise, the 6 out of 6, the daddy of all exercises, and one that no one wants to do, and that is a squat. All right, so a full body squat is something where we take our butt backwards and our hands forwards, and it's not the knees going over like this. And ideally what we want to do is end up being able to reach forward with the hands, pulling the hips backwards, weight on the heels, outside of the feet ever so slightly, knees go outwards, and your butt goes down towards the ground. Maybe my back could be a little bit straighter, but you know, like I said, I'm approaching 50. Younger people with more flexible hips will get a little bit straighter. Oh, if you're a bit less flexible than me, you'll be bent over a bit more. But how do we get to that position? Because that's not easy. So we can start by simply taking the hips backwards, hands forwards, and maybe even having a chair just behind us and tapping the butt down onto that chair. I've got a video on how to do that actually just here, so you can watch that one. But taking the butt backwards, or you can actually just grab hold of something and pull backwards. Get a little traction through your hamstrings and lower back. It's going to feel great for people with lower back problems anyway. And then sliding your hips down, working slowly into these methods of tension or areas of tension. So when we used to teach this in our movement center, we used to actually take about 6 months to get someone into a full squat position. So it does take time, it's not easy, but when you can get down either like this or with the heels down, it gives you access to a whole bunch of other motion that you don't normally have. And you know, our body can do some amazing things, but if we don't use it, the body likes to take it away, so we lose it, right? And this motion of the hips and the knees and the ankles is so important for as we age to be able to bend down and pick things up. And if we don't ever do it, then one day we'll find that we need to do it and we can't. And so that's why I really recommend going through these 6 key exercises. Hey, if you're still confused about what you need to do for your scoliosis to manage your back pain, then I want you to click the video in the first pinned comment below. It's a longer video, but in it I break down all the management strategies that you need to make a success and also to plan your best next step.